How's it going? Hello everyone, welcome back to James and Flav. For now, Flav, just say what you said just a second ago. Say exactly what you said just a second ago.
Well, I'm looking forward to the old firm. Like, as we record, the old firm is happening this evening, isn't it?
Yeah,
and
big game.
I don't watch Scottish football very often, but I found myself in the pub on Saturday. And I was watching Rangers versus Ross County at the Ross County ground, and I was looking at it, and I was just thinking...
Wait. Say the sentence before you say the bit that you say.
I don't remember.
Say what you said before that. You said, now there's nothing wrong being a small club. You went, and now just to be clear, but before I say this important sentence that's going to really offer some insight, there is absolutely nothing wrong supporting a small club. And clubs then you said...
clubs are different, aren't they? Not everyone can, be lucky enough to follow a club the size of Tottenham or Arsenal or Chelsea or even QPR, in comparison to Ross County. Because I was looking at it and I was thinking, what? I wasn't sure whether I was watching a training match or this was an actual game of football in the Scottish Premiership. And I'm not saying that because of the standard of football. The football's actually quite good. It was just... the ground is the pits.
Well, George Haig, who is one of our beloved patrons, we are recording this right now live with our patrons. We can see them. They're chatting to us. For example, the Queen of the Slugs, Catherine, who is an Aston Villa fan, has jovially said, Steve Bruce to West Brom then, because, of course, Valerian Ismail has gone. But more importantly, George Haig has said, let me tell you, I've been to Ross County, and I can confirm it's definitely, and that's in capital letters, the pits. So there you go.
Yeah, it's not great.
So there
but it's not their fault. It's Ross County. There's no money there, is there? I mean, there's no money in football.
It's a small country. There's not that many people. That is going to affect things. I've shown you the thumbnail this time, and I think this is a good one. I'm interested to hear your thoughts on this.
Well, you've made that thumbnail without actually. You don't know what my thoughts are, but I look the most smuggest that I've ever possibly looked.
Well, I was thinking, right, what questions could we talk about? What could we discuss, right? We're in that weird little awkward spot between Premier League returning. Of course, we've got FA Cup this weekend, which we're still in it. Are you still in it? We're still in it.
We're playing Brighton at 8 o'clock on a Saturday. Have you ever heard of a game being played at 8 o'clock on a Saturday night?
Yeah, I don't understand. Now, that's the pits. Well, our games, we've got a game at 8 o'clock. I think we've got a game 8 o'clock away at Barnsley on a Saturday night.
Really?
Yeah.
So you're playing away at Barnsley? And Barnsley are in the Championship. So have you beaten them?
No, that's not FA Cup, sorry. That's it, like in a couple of weeks.
Who have you got in the FA Cup?
Peterborough away.
Look at us just chewing the fat, talking about the FA Cup because we're both in it.
Yeah. Which leads me beautifully onto a club that have got a bit of time, get themselves sorted out. Arsenal Football Club, Flav. Because as I say, I was thinking about what's a good title. I think there's been a lot of talk about the transfer window. And as I say, as we are in this little fulcrum towards the Premier League, Tottenham and Arsenal have both had, I don't know how to describe it, somewhat awkward transfer windows.
I don't know. We brought in 2 players that have improved our first team and got out 4 players that haven't played barely any football. I wouldn't call that awkward. I'd call that calculated. It's me, though, isn't it?
Well, that leads me to my question. That first of all, are you kind of ahead of of Arsenal now? Have you sort of,
what do you mean now?
Are you leaving them in? Well, I felt like Arsenal had like a good vibe about it. It was all feeling good.
Vibe.
Yeah, I thought they'd caught that vibe, but then all of a sudden they don't bring any footballers in. They didn't buy anyone in the January sales.
Yeah.
Now there's a lot of discourse around the fact that Arsenal have taken a lot of players and gotten rid of them, and I can now go to a picture which I can show you right now. Can you see this?
I'm looking directly at it. That's beautiful. Yep.
Yep. So this is the squad from the year 2018. And only 7 players remain at Arsenal since Arteta has taken over. He took over this season.
Yeah.
And I've also seen a few things going, I won't say who again. I watch a lot of YouTube, by the way. There's no one saying, just waffling for ages, a bit like me now, but then going, there are no excuses now because this is your squad, Arteta, and he has bombed out a few players, which leads to the question, Flav. Is he a bit arrogant, Arteta?
Is he arrogant? If you're managing a club the size of Arsenal, I don't think it's arrogance. And every manager at this level is to some degree arrogant. They have their own way. The very best managers in the world will only have their own way, and those that are too willing to listen to those around them probably don't ever reach that level. So Arteta's first job, and I'm sure he's learning a lot. Time will tell whether or not he has chopped so many heads off and it hasn't worked out, and maybe the next few jobs or in 10 years' time he would do things a little bit more differently. But if you look at the players that have left, and some of them are, their time was at an end, like Ozil and Ramsey, their time was at an end, and it was natural for them to move on. But there's so many that there's been actual issues between Arteta and the players. And Guendouzi, obviously Aubameyang, is the most obvious one. Torreira, there was issues. So look, he's arrogant if it doesn't work out. If it does work out, then
he's forthright.
He's forthright, and he knows what he's doing, and he won't let the egos of his players get in the way of his vision.
I agree.
So,
I think that's...
So we don't know.
Well, so this is what I put. This is why I wanted to talk about it, because the main reason I wanted to talk about it was because I think you're spot on with that. I think we're at this moment where a year ago everyone's going, get rid of all of them. No. I don't want. No, we'll play with one, and we'll play with one till the end of the season, because Emi Martinez is the only one I want nowadays. Bin them all off, right? The amount of people that have said that, people have said clear out. You got to have a clear out. You got to have a clear out, right? So
this
now
is a clear out. This is, and there's throwing an axe at it.
Yeah, but I guess to make that clear out happen quickly, there's gonna be a few people that are gonna get pushed out instead of, I don't know. Well, all right. Let me put it this way: is there anyone on that list that is in grey that you would still want? And is there anyone really in that picture that you could have got much more money for?
Okay, well, so I think there's two obvious ones. Not necessarily money, but you'd still want, and that was Martinez, who is he's absolutely world class, and actually proved himself when he played for Arsenal. He had to play 12 games towards the end of the season.
Well,
the end of last,
didn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, and it was clear that this guy's good, and maybe Arteta looked at it and like, this is form, this is his opportunity, he's playing out of his skin. But the reality is that, and this is the beauty of hindsight, is that he's gone to Villa and he has absolutely done. He's one of the best goalkeepers in the league, if not Europe, which is incredible to say. So yes, Martinez, that was a mistake. That would be one. The issues, though, about dealing with the mindset of certain players, Aubameyang, for one, they knew what they were buying. Dortmund let him go, and he had actually, if you look back at it, if you take all of the sort of stories around about Aubameyang away, what he did on the pitch was really good. Like, to find a striker as good as him, it will take them a long, long time, and they may not do that in the next 10 years. But they've ended up multiple times losing star players out on a free, and Aubameyang, I feel like, I don't know what happened, and maybe how much of that was about Aubameyang's attitude or whatever. But yeah, Aubameyang weakens them by leaving, right? If he was there's a reason why.
Sort of. He hasn't scored goals for 2 seasons, really.
Yeah, maybe you're right.
So this is what I mean. Like, I heard one comment on it, which I thought was fair. Which go, what's he really done wrong, Aubameyang? What's he really done wrong?
Well, we don't know. We will never know. It's certainly nothing
he was
to do
late,
with
wasn't
football.
he? Yeah, exactly. So from that point of view, you're sort of bombing him out for that reason, right? But when you look at the facts of it, this guy's on 350k a year. A week. God, imagine being on 350. That shows how astronomical it is, isn't it? Imagine being on 350k a year. Bloody hell, you'd be buzzing. He's getting it away. Anyway, so that's 25 million quid they're saving with this for someone who's 32, who you're not going to get any sell-on value. The mistakes that happened with this squad happened well before Arteta was there. Well before Arteta was there. And this is always the problem, is that they were buying players that weren't truly going to have that much sell-on value. Like, I can't even remember this guy's name. I know he played for Switzerland. Lexner? No, he was at Juventus, wasn't he, at one point? Basically, when you look at the people on here, Willock, you've got some money for, probably more than you should have got. Guendouzi, is he good enough for you to really be that bothered that it didn't work out?
I mean, the way Arsenal fans were talking him up, that he was quality.
That's it, Lichtsteiner. Yeah. Maitland-Niles, I really like Maitland-Niles, so I feel like that is a mistake, them letting him go. I don't understand with that. Torreira, they gave him an opportunity. He wasn't really capable. Like, you can make your way through all of it. Welbeck, injury prone. Kolasinac, not really up to it. Iwobi, got 30 million for him. Mustafi was nothing to do with Arteta. Aubameyang shouldn't have given him the contract. Ozil shouldn't have given him the contract. Ramsey, he came to the end of his contract. Koscielny left after pretty much 10 years. Monreal, do you know what I mean? All these guys.
I don't know what you're asking me. You're asking me whether or not that squad was about where Arsenal were. It's not like they've made mistakes.
My point is, there's a lot of heat on Arteta to a point, on what's going on with this squad and how he's changing it.
Edu, rather. Sorry.
Yeah, but also my point is that they're left in a precarious predicament where they don't have loads of strikers. But I would also say that Aubameyang has not been scoring goals for quite some time. So I don't think that makes a huge difference. You've saved a lot of money on him. And this is just cleaning up the mess. So this idea that he's got arrogant it annoys me a little bit, because I actually think he's done a lot of the hard work and it's about standards, and he's actually got quite high standards. And so with that, he's gone, in a private conversation, I think he's probably gone, get rid of him. Basically kill all of them.
It's not dissimilar to what Pochettino did at Spurs when he took over, because we had a lot of big names, Kabul, who was our captain at the time, Adebayor, Aaron Lennon, and these were huge players. These are players that we thought were the sort of rock of our first team. And he went in there and was like, nope, you're all gone. We're playing Mason and Bentaleb in midfield, and we are going to deal with the short-term chaos that's going to kind of unfold, because we're taking key players out of the squad. But the result was that we turned into something completely new, and we benefited from a clutch of. We benefited from Harry Kane absolutely exploding and becoming one of the best strikers in Europe. So we had that. Yeah. We benefited from Dele Alli becoming, in 2 or 3 seasons, one of the very best attacking midfielders, if not forward, if that's what you consider them to be under Pochettino's system, and Heung-min Son, who we signed and recruited and has gone on to do blossomed. He's blossomed. Yeah. Arteta, I think, has been able to do this because he has had a clutch of young players, really, really, really good young players in Martinelli, Saka, and Smith Rowe. That it meant that he's able to do it. That this is the time to do it. So, if what needs to come now for Arteta is to consistently finish in the top 4, and what's his ceiling? What if he doesn't finish in the top 4 this season, he's going to get another season. They're definitely going to believe in him. They're definitely going to. He's going to be there for a long time, it seems, unless things go drastically wrong.
What I see, so the reason I wanted to talk about it as well was because the way that I look at it is I think they're making. I'm really happy with the moves that they've generally made. Like, from looking at objectively, Rob makes a really good point. Martinelli and Lacazette are fine, and if you can't get Vlahovic now, don't just get a middling striker instead. Exactly.
But they were never going to get. They're never going to get a player that good. They were never going to.
You don't know that. You don't know that.
No, I categorically do know that, James, because every single time Vlahovic's agent spoke about Arsenal, it was like, we don't want to talk to Arsenal. Right, do not want to speak to you.
But, sorry, the broad strokes of a striker that's at a club like Fiorentina banging in goals, you can
You're not buying a player as good you're not buying a player as good as him. In a season's time, we'll be talking about him in the same vein, in my opinion, as Haaland and Mbappe. I think he's that good. So they were never going to get him. In the same way the Spurs weren't. So it's not about if you weren't going to get him, then you should settle for someone else. They should definitely settle for something less than Vlahovic.
Okay.
If they can attract anyone as nearly as good as Aubameyang was in the first part of his Arsenal career, then they should be over the moon.
But I would say they have a lot of might in terms of the players that they can go and get. And I think Vlahovic is like, in terms of that level, from where his stock is at this moment in time, yeah, he's a few years younger, so I get it. But like in terms of quality, in terms of when they bought Aubameyang as well, I don't think there's a huge difference in terms of the player that they bought. Maybe yeah. Arsenal were a different team at that point, but they've also spent a lot of money in the summer. And the thing that I see, if they don't get top 4, if I was an Arsenal fan, I'd be like, okay, as long as they kind of got near it, had a decent go at it, you're going to be stronger by August because of saving that money and continuing with that clear out. But what I can see, and I'll call it now, is you'll have people shouting on YouTube videos just for the sake of it, going, I told you we should have signed people, when they've actually made the sensible decision here to put themselves in a really good spot come the summer.
Yeah, of course. You can be philosophical about it. It's like, let's save our money now. There isn't great value in the transfer market in January. Let's let's consolidate and move on. But this is an excellent opportunity for them to finish in the top 4. And if you look at their transfer business, they haven't done enough, in my opinion. And I'm much more hopeful of Tottenham's chances of finishing in the top 4 based on what Arsenal have done and what we've done, but especially what Arsenal have done, because I consider them our greatest rivals in finishing in the top 4.
I guess the only thing you could say, I said about West Ham. Go on.
Jim, sorry, just to finish, is that what Arsenal are competing with Spurs, and in their heads, they're not. They think that they're a bigger club and they can attract better players than Tottenham. The reality is that they can't, right? The reality is that Spurs and Arsenal, I would say we're ahead of them in the type of players we can attract. And the reason I'm saying that is that Arsenal's wage bill is still £20 million more than Tottenham Hotspur's is a season, and they generate €100 million less than we do a season. So over time, Tottenham will financially become we already are in a better financial situation than they are, but over time that will play out in who they can attract. The idea that Arsenal are what they were is foolhardy. They're not, and their fans need to rein themselves in a little bit, wind their necks in, and realise the kind of club they are. Because if they don't, they are going to have a miserable experience. Because I feel like they still think we can build this side and we can challenge for years and years and years as a top Premier League club. And by that I mean what Liverpool, Chelsea, and Man City have done. The reality is,
Rob makes a good comment. Are you still paying off your stadium though?
Yeah, but does Rob know exactly the financial details of how we repay that stadium?
Won't that affect the amount of money that you can spend in the transfer market?
Do you know how much money we pay off on the loan? It's £15 million a season.
Okay.
So we may never.
Having a Chris Willock.
Exactly. Look, it's not. I'm not saying that. I'm not. This isn't a Spurs and Arsenal thing. It's managing the expectations of Tottenham's fan base and Arsenal's fan base. And neither of us, based on the financials, will be able to compete consistently with City, Chelsea, and Liverpool, but less so Liverpool. We need to understand that we may have 1 or 2 stellar seasons. Like under Conte, next season, we're hoping to have a stellar season. That isn't going to be a 5-year period where we are consistently challenging. It's just not the case. And the same with Arsenal. You're not that club. And Spurs are not that club.
But Liverpool, I know you're saying like financially, but on the pitch, right? Getting Aubameyang out, even if it does feel somewhat callous, and putting in the squad that's there now, and that starting 11 that's there now that is so young, that's how you do it. That's how Spurs did it. It was Walker and it was Rose. It was young players, Kane, Ali, Son, all these young players, and you hope they sort of grow and blossom together and become a really good team with a good manager. So again, I think
a team that Arsenal fans consistently remind us that we didn't win anything with. So if you're aspiring to replicate what we did, which was a fantastic experience for me, is a team that doesn't give you what you as Arsenal fans expect, which is trophies.
Final thing on it then, because the top 4 thing, I think we all thought Man United would fly away, and that kind of haven't, obviously. Am I being a little bit sensible and long-termist by suggesting that whoever it is who's battling for top 4 this year, they kind of need to go for it now and maybe should have gone for it a little bit more? Do you think this is one of those years?
Yeah. There's a great opportunity, isn't there, James? Is that the fact is that Man United should have, based on the amount of money they spent in the summer and bringing in Ronaldo and Varane, and there was one other as well.
Sancho, wasn't it? Jadon Sancho, yeah.
Yeah, Jadon Sancho was huge money. That's mad money, right? So for them, the fact that we thought like the top 4 was sewn up, and now we find ourselves in a situation where Spurs, if we win every game in hand, go above Chelsea. And that's a big if. We're not going to do that, but you know what I mean? It hasn't sort of played out the way we thought we could, and it would rather. And Arsenal fans do. I think they should be angry the fact that their club didn't strengthen, but they spent lots and lots of money in the summer. You can't do it every transfer window. It's no good looking back at summer and going, yeah, we bought these players, but it hasn't. We're not exactly where we are. You spent the money. The money's spent. We've just let go of Lo Celso and Ndombele, Dele Alli and Brian Hill. Do you know the combined value of those players if you look at the transfer window? No. So Dele Alli's was 5 million that we bought him for, but what's he actually worth? All right, 30 million. Okay. Brian Hill was bought for 25, probably paid for 10, whatever it was. And Ndombele and Lo Celso are worth nearly £100 million. We have got rid of those because they're not working. And hopefully the 2 players that are brought in, Bentancur, by the way, who apparently isn't a goal scoring midfielder, scored an absolute screamer for Uruguay last night.
I do.
But yeah, he's going to be amazing. Yeah, I mean, I've never heard of him, but I'm sure he's going to be amazing.
I find it fascinating, all of it. And
time will play out. We don't know.
Yeah, for sure. I do like that. What you're kind of saying there is that you don't just get to put another more and more and more money as much as you used to. There are these sort of caps on it a little bit because the prices seem so high, especially for Premier League clubs buying players. And if you do blow all that money, you're gonna have to wait 3 years to kind of start to do it again, or you better get rid of some players. So
yeah, and if they had spent, what was it? Juve spent £73 million or whatever it was on Vlahovic, plus what was reported to be he wanted £250,000 to £300,000 a week. If Arsenal had done that, you can't then expect them to buy 3 or 4 players in the summer. There has to be some sort of fans don't want to step back and look at the big picture. They don't. They just want all the players all the time, spending all the money, and hopefully it all works out.
I'm trying to find someone one of our patrons is Robbie Holmes. What's your name on Twitter, Robbie? Just write it in the chat because he wants an apology from you. Over the Steve Bruce photo because you called him a liar, apparently. And I know you did send it to me, but I forgot to put it in. That picture I showed you there. Ready for a link here, mate? The picture there. You've got Peter Cech, who, of course, was involved in last week's show. Footballers Wangs will return, guys. Exciting times. We spoke about him last week, and one of the slugs, they spotted him. They spotted his wang, and people were a bit disappointed. And we now move on from the Arsenal chat because we've got a few people in the chat going boring. 3 borings, and of course we stopped talking about anything football related. Is Steve Bruce actually on his way to West Brom? That can't be happening.
What do you, as a fan of Championship football, because you're in it, is that a good deal for them? He'll get him up.
Sure. I mean, he won't get him up. There's no space. Sadly.
Of course.
But
maybe I don't want to see West Brom ever come back up again. Sorry, Bob. Brom Bob. But sick of them.
Yeah, so that's time for some fresh meat up there to get
Indeed.
pulverised and pounded into cheap burgers. But anyway, first of all, Jim Big Laugh Award. Let's move on. I think, look, if he goes there, then they've got a squad that you could just go on, boys, just play. And they might just be able to stay up, which is kind of what Steve Bruce generally does. But the way they're playing, they're
West Brom
so
fans
ugly
can't
to
be.
watch. West Brom they're so
They're not
ugly
going
to watch.
They're not going to get more attractive with Steve Bruce in charge.
They will, mate. That's how ugly the football's been. Like it's honestly,
really?
you get sort of trained into seeing certain things happen on a football pitch. Nowadays, I think when you see the ball kind of go to the centre backs, you expect them to try and play a pass.
Yeah, what do?
They wallop it. They just wallop it off the pitch. They go, nope, I'm going to play down that end. But you can't with us because Jimmy Dunn just then chests it down and plays it to Rob Dickey, who drives with the ball and plays it off to Adebayo. Anyway, Jim Big Laugh Award. I look in the comments every single week, and if it makes me laugh, I'll chuck it into the Jim Big Laugh Award nominees. First of all, with the Petr Cech thing, Dean Peters, we were talking about his wang last week. He was seen by, I can't remember what the fella's name was, but he saw it and he can't unsee it, which is understandable. Dean Peters says that Petr Cech's got a helmet on him because he wears a helmet, isn't he? And then Jason Martin said, I want to know if Petr Cech's helmet had a helmet.
I love that.
The little helmet on his helmet.
Yeah, on his winky.
Yeah. Bradley Taylor was disappointed. He said, not making a joke about Petr Cech's helmet is the podcast equivalent of Gazza's chance in the Euro 96 semi. It was right there for you boys. You only need to tap it in. Yeah, disappointing from us. Let ourselves down there.
The greatest thing about Gareth Bale playing at Spurs is that, and that boy is packing. I'd say it's a bit unfair that he was as good at football as he is, and has been gifted by God with a piece, an absolute.
He's got a solid. He's got a solid little foreskin on it that looks a bit like a sock roll. You know when like John Terry used to do his sock over his knee.
Luncheon
Bale
meat.
did that as well.
Luncheon meat. It's just when he crossed the ball for Peter Crouch to score the third against Inter Milan in the Champions League run of 2010. I was so transfixed by the meat that I couldn't really celebrate the goal.
But you saw his willy
through the shorts.
Really?
It was that significant.
That's odd, isn't it? To sort of loose-fitting underwear in that kind of scenario.
I think they tried to wrap it up, but it was just the beast was released.
Yeah. Do you want to apologise? This is who is it? Grimesy. Was it you, Grimesy? No, it's Robbie Holmes. This is Robbie Holmes with Steve Bruce. There you go. Proven.
Do you know what I worried about? The first thing that crossed my mind when I saw the news that Steve Bruce is probably taken over at West Brom was how he talked about the abuse he received at Newcastle. I'm just thinking, like, his desire and love for the sport overrides the. Yeah. It's so strong that he overrides the abuse that he's inevitably going to get.
Oh my God! Do you know what?
That is a man who loves the sport that we love.
What is he? Catherine, maybe you can answer this one. So he will now have managed. If he manages them, he will have managed West Brom, Villa, and Birmingham.
Fucking loves the Midlands.
He just loves the Midlands.
He loves the Midlands.
Man of my own heart. Man of my own heart. I love it as well.
I got to say, if I've got to manage, if I've got to manage an area of the UK, the Midlands wouldn't be the one that I'd focus on.
That's a shame. That's a shame. I do as well. I could definitely see him doing.
My mum's from Birmingham. I can say that.
I can see him doing 6 months, and then Robin being swapped with Mark Robbins becomes the West Brom manager, and Steve Bruce takes over at Coventry.
Mark Robbins doing bits somewhere, is he?
He's a good manager. Just goes under the radar because he's just really sort of quiet,
like Steve
bordering
Cotterill.
on dour. Yeah, I guess so. Oh, yeah. Bradley Taylor was disappointed. He said, not making a joke about Petr Cech's helmet. Oh, yeah, you've done that one. But actually, I think this is a strong nominee because I literally did laugh out loud. You were asking people what they hate about Arsenal. You wanted that to be a new bit. Do you want to put forward a new team?
Bournemouth. No, that's too hard, isn't it? Chelsea. Let's do Chelsea.
Okay, we'll go Chelsea. Curtis Kilduff. Just didn't see this coming. I hate Arsenal because someone shouted, I love Arsenal in the pub. My grandma stood up and shouted, fuck Arsenal. The guy turned around and hit my grandma in the face. True story.
What? Hit your grandma in the face?
I want a picture of your nan with a bruised eye and a spoon, please.
Yeah. And if that was years ago, you got to hit her, haven't you?
Indeed. If you want to become a patron, you can do so for around the same, if not less than a London pint. We've got 328 now. We are flying, and it's been really good. This week on the mailbag, we were laughing at Nadine Dorries, and you've missed that. But you could enjoy 60 mailbags if you become a patron. Just have them on in the background. It's just like me and Flav in your office in the back, just chatting away.
Yeah, just talking about something. But we sometimes talk about football, but generally not.
Yes, exactly. Mr. Banana Bandana said, not sure if I'll ever use it because I can usually only manage to fit 1 hour of mad ramblings into my week, but I've just become a moisty as I feel like I've kind of been taking the piss a bit listening to this podcast for so long and not contributing to it financially. It's honestly very rewarding not feel like a dirty, dehydrated, freeloading, unlubricated slug. Worth subscribing to the Patreon alone just to have the guilt off my back.
God bless you, my son.
Yeah. Smart move is what I would say.
Yes.
Smart move. Quotes of the week, just one this week. Tyler Norton. You breathe out your nose, you egg.
That's unfair, Jim, that everything that went on towards the end of the podcast, talking about mouth breathing and breathing into a girl's mouth when you kiss her, that you've chosen one that digs me out. Well, that's unfair.
Okay, fair enough. Unfair. Let me read another one then. This isn't quotes of the week, but Sam Redgate Large. Flav's mouth breathing antics just got you a like. There you go. The gaslighting was unmatched here.
So, is gaslighting...
Mate, have you watched that back? Have you watched the end of last week's pod back?
I haven't.
It's amazing. I was like... But because by the end of it, I was like... Did I say that? You watch it back and you'll see that you said... I was like, what?
Did you say it or did I just make it
up? You just undercover panicked. You swan
about
panicked.
what?
Swan panicked.
About what could I have possibly panicked about that conversation?
Like, you went, you hold your breath when you pull birds, which is odd. and you realise that in that split second. So you tried to turn it on me.
No. First of all, I don't pull birds. All right. Secondly,
hang on a second. For those of you who don't know, watch the last 10 minutes of last week's podcast. We discuss snogging ladies, and we have an update from West Brom Bob at the end of this podcast. Go on, Flav.
Well, I'm just saying that my point was back then, last week, and back then when there would have been members of the female sex that I might have been interested in on a night out, is that if I go in for a kiss, then I would have held my breath out of duty to her, just in case I'd had an onion ring earlier. Do you know what I mean? It's just it's duty. But what you said, that's mad. What are you talking about? That's so weird. And then I was like, well, what do you do? Breathe into their mouths when you're getting hold of them. And so
it's all in the prep. You should be if you're getting close to pulling someone, you should have had some form of minty refreshment prior to that.
Yeah, but it was on top all the time, Jim. It was coming on top. I couldn't plan my life. There were so many kisses coming.
When you hold your breath, how do you like I do this with the missus sometimes. You sort of burp and then you go, you blow it, you blow it not in her direction because she's your queen. What was that when you were snogging girls and you would have been snogging them for let's give it 25 seconds if it's gone well. What? So you've got to be by that point. Your brain's going because you're just trying because you're still holding your breath.
No,
but I'm the weird one. I'm the weird one. No, I'm the weird one. Sorry, because I'm breathing out my nose.
No, sorry, because it wouldn't have been 25 seconds in a bar when I was going out. It was like a little sort of maybe 2 or 3 seconds. That was
quick,
sexy.
Quick tongue.
25 seconds beyond back of the bins is what you were doing.
What if she's grabbed you by the back of the head because she's feeling the passion and it drifts into 15, 16 seconds? How do you play it cool afterwards?
I don't know.
How do you breathe out? Where do you breathe out?
You'd have to do what you do, which is just
breathe out your nose, or breathe out your nose
directly into her mouth.
Yeah, interesting.
James Allcott breathes into birds' mouths.
Yeah, Archie Keane watching Flav and mouth breather Jim just giggling uncontrollably at the end of the pod does make me wonder how they ever got things done in the Ball Street office.
So true. So true.
Yeah. Comments of the week as well. Finlay Arnold. Can't believe I've just come across this after watching James's videos before. It's a weird combination of football knowledge and a mix of cricket-style chat.
What?
Reminds me of Year 9, playing a 50 over on a Sunday, sitting next to 4 county batsmen while I bat number 10. And I don't know what he's saying there. I just listen. I don't watch the ball. I just listen to them chat the most shit about cricket. Just pure waffle for 3 hours straight. And for some reason, it never gets old. This podcast is the same thing, but the football version. There's no way James didn't play county cricket.
100%. So you played at some decent level playing cricket. What I want to know is what number did you bat at? I'm going to say 5 or 6.
Depends on the level.
What the level at school level when you was playing at school? What was it, 5 or 6?
Well, I was wicket keeper, so I would obviously.
I was a wicket keeper.
You're too tall to be a wicket keeper.
Yeah,
I am.
No,
yeah,
I mean I wasn't then. But...
I was a wicket keeper, and then, so yeah, I'd bat because you're not allowed to bat too high up if you're the wicket keeper generally because they got to be kind to everyone. So yeah, 5 would happen. Once I got into like men's cricket, would be I quite like 4. So it's situational. I need the situation. I can't deal with opening because I'm like, what are we doing? Are we going for this or not? I can't handle it.
I'll just tell you a story. So the school I went to in North London called Highbury Grove, we had an inter-year cricket competition, and I was batting, and such was the nature of my school that the wicketkeeper had a knife, and he said, "You got to get out next ball," and then he held up this sort of hooked knife.
What?
And I was like, this is true, mate, 100% true. And I went to absolutely welly it, but intentionally just clipped it so he could catch it.
Bloody hell.
Yeah, it's true.
That's mad.
Funny. It's funny, but it's not really funny. Quite sad and horrible.
Yeah. SWJ replied, definitely got Surrey under 12s written all over him. Crafty little medium pacer who nibbles it about a bit. Useful number 10 as well, who can stay with the set batsman and runs like a whippet between the wickets. Not true. Wrong.
That's amazing.
Anyway, let's keep moving. Oh, woeful fan interaction. Last week, we were asking. I was saying about that I'd had a nightmare. So I thought I'd put a curse on QPR by saying to Swansea's goalkeeper, "Try and win the game, I dare you." So we asked people if that had happened to other people. So it's like just shit chat, like in the terraces, and we've got a few. Ellis Carr. A guy behind me at Hillsborough once shouted, "More like lowlights," at half-time when the highlights were being shown on the big screen.
Yeah. So he's sitting there and he's thinking, "Oh fuck, he's had a brainwave," and he's thinking, "Oh, I've got something witty here, boys. They're gonna love this." More like lowlights.
I hate people in a large group who make comments to be funny, and are sort of going, "Well, I'm not talking to anyone, but you're talking to everyone." And you're desperate just to go, more like lowlights. Am I right? Fuck off.
Do you know what something I do, Jim, is someone will make a joke and not consciously, I will say the same joke louder than they did.
Yeah.
I've really got to stop doing that.
Me and my mate do that as well. And if you know that someone said it and then that you get a laugh elsewhere, you like reinforce that by going, brilliant, really good, really good joke. That's good. Jacob Buswell, I've got a weak shout for you guys. I still look back at it one of those cringe moments, despite it being about 12 years ago. I was watching my beloved Exeter City stood on the big bank, brackets largest safe standing area in the Football League. I screamed with all the authority I could muster from my 13-year-old lungs to watch the number 11. What I planned as a roar came out as a timid voice-cracking scream. It felt like the whole stadium went quiet at the perfect time. Everyone laughed. Even the people in the adjacent stand were weighing and laughing at me. I sank into myself and didn't say a word for the rest of the game. About as close as I've been to being the crying kid in the crowd. Tough. Thoughts on puberty, Flav?
Yeah, it's a pain in the arse. Actually, I don't think I suffered from the woes of puberty more than other kids. I just came late.
Yeah, I was like, hurry up. For Christ's sake. I'll take the voice, but I can't be 4'3" and 17.
Were there moments, Jim, where you just thought, am I never going to grow up?
Definitely. Oh, mate, it's horrible. It's horrible.
Really?
I remember, speaking of cricket, don't worry, I'm not talking about it for too long. We were playing cricket in the nets in like the summer. And everyone, I must have been about 14. And everyone like took the shirts off because it was hot. And everyone had underarm hair, and I didn't, and I was like, I can't do it then, can I? Can't take my shirt off because I.
What? How old was you? Under 14?
14.
I don't think. I mean, yeah.
I was definitely late. I was definitely late. But I remember that.
I just felt so sort of insecure during my my years at my secondary school that it was like underarm was like the last thing I needed to worry about.
I was just surely you're thinking once you get to
I don't
sort of
actually
14,
have much
15
now, mate. To be honest,
yeah, you're fair-haired, maybe that's it. But it was more the fact like I'm tiny here and I'm so chubby, and everyone else looks like men. This is really frustrating. Hurry up.
Yeah. We had a kid called Ibrahim, and he had more hair on his chin than I still have to this day in my entire body.
Do you know, Hugh Wizzy's beard is magnificent. Have you seen it? Like, some people just have incredible hair, and his beard is just phenomenal. I'll never get near it. Robert Duff, I once witnessed the strangest altercations between two men at the football. Man A was shouting abuse at the players all game, so Man B kindly told him to shut up. This prompted Man A to return with, are you not allowed an opinion anymore? Which was quickly shut down by, not if you're an idiot. Man A then ended the conversation with one line, takes one to know one.
Oh.
The whole section went silent, realising he had played the primary school power move with no comeback. Takes one to know one.
The thing is, you know what the worst thing about all-seater stadia is the fact that you can't hide. There's nowhere to hide.
Yeah.
In the old sort of, all standing sections, is that if you said something stupid, the kind of perimeter around your body, which is like 8 men, they might know what you've done, but you can hide from everyone else. In seating, it's like you're exposed. Like you had what you did. In terms of go on, win. I dare you.
Oh mate, it's horrible.
There was nowhere for you to hide.
If you want to see the goal that was scored and then didn't turn out to be a goal, good old Ollie Sage smashing it on the TikTok. That's on my TikTok profile right now. Go check it out. Todd Samways, week chat. I went to a local non-league match a couple of years ago with my dad and my brother. A player for the away team went down pretty easily and won a free kick. Suddenly a fan behind the goal shouts, "What's this? Drama school?" Provoking absolutely zero reaction from anyone aside from me.
What's this drama school? There's no relation to football at all.
That's horrific. And my brother mimicking the same phrase anytime someone else went over the rest of the game. My favourite one, the one that I told you this, I'm sure I've said this before, but my favourite is when someone got the opposite. We got a penalty in a Sunday League game, and their players were really pissed off about it. And then our player missed the penalty, and one of their players just screamed, "Justice!
Justice!
Justice!" Oh, it's so funny. And you knowing me, I ran with that for the rest of the game of our 5-0 victory. Justice. Every time we scored, Jay Hancock. Every time we got a throw on, justice. I can remember it now. Shite football chant abuse for you. Back in September at Fratton Park, I overheard someone shout at the ref, "You always micromanage everything, Ward. Why can't you micromanage that?" Truly the worst insult I've ever wrapped my ears around. So he's using the ref's name as well. Hate that. And last one. LM, weak chance. Was at Leicester versus Watford in the FA Cup a few weeks back in the Watford end. Shortly after going 3-1 down, Leicester fans started singing, "Watford get battered everywhere they go." Everywhere they go. To which a group of Watford fans, the group included a handful of middle-aged men, so not just 20-year-olds, shamelessly but tragically replied by chanting, "Your mum gets battered everywhere she goes."
Jesus Christ.
I'm sort of caught between, okay, that's kind of funny, but it's also a bit weak and sad.
Well, but also, it's like how do Leicester fans come back from that? What do they say? Well,
it's just, I mean, it's a bit like what takes one to know one, doesn't it?
It makes
like your mum's a da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah. Your mum gets battered every. I don't know. Not sure that's in the modern era.
In the modern era, yeah. I mean, there's been a few of those recently, disappointingly. Unwritten rules, Flav. Unwritten rules.
Okay.
Previous rules include you can't have a go. I just like saying this every week. You can't have a go at your own board if you are champions of Europe.
Yeah, indeed. As we saw with the Chelsea fans sort of lightly digging out, or perhaps more significantly digging out Abramovich for his management of Chelsea Football Club, given the fact they've won 17 trophies in 19 seasons, or 15 in 17, or whatever it is since Abramovich took over. And
the club needs investment.
And yet still there are Chelsea fans out there going, I'm not sure he's doing the job. Not sure he's doing the job. What were you doing when you weren't even fucking born when he took over Chelsea?
How many trophies has Abramovich won?
I think it's 17 in 19 seasons, I think. This is good podcast.
Sorry, this is just absolutely.
Are they seeing your screen as well?
Sorry, now they are. 5 leagues, 2 Champions Leagues, 5 FA Cups, 3 League Cups, 2 Super Cups, and 2 Europa Leagues. But it's not good enough, though, Flav. It's not good enough.
And bearing in mind, every part of that success is down to him, not you following the football club, not the fact that you support Chelsea. Down to him and his money. That's the reason why you've done all of those things.
No, they've had to deal with the knocks of several new managers.
So for you to criticise Abramovich, and it isn't about his somewhat dubious ethical position that he finds himself in at Chelsea, for you to criticise him, given he's given you everything, is an absolute joke.
That is amazing.
All of that isn't Chelsea, it's Abramovich. You might as well put Abramovich Football Club.
Interesting. I'm not going to comment on that. Unwritten rules. Daniel Dyson. First comment. Friend of a moisty. Don't know what that means, but he told me to say it. Rather long. Welcome, Daniel. Rather long football fan story for you, but not sure what segment it falls into. I think this falls into unwritten rules. Whenever there was a Villa player needing treatment, our 2 physios would absolutely leg it to get to the injured player. The guy who sat behind me for years at Villa Park would chant, "Physio race!" over and over to see which of the physios would get there first. This was fantastic. It was only topped by a scenario, and I think this is an unwritten rule here, where one player from each team was down in the same area of the pitch and 2 physios from each team sprinted on. He would get very excited and scream the chant at the top of his voice. We all loved it. I think that's an unwritten rule. If 2 players on the other side of the pitch both get injured at the same time and the physios have to run on, as soon as they cross that white line, that is a race for whoever gets there first.
100%. 100%.
Fidget squad, unwritten rule. If one guy holds up a bed sheet with manager out written on it, in poorly aligned tape, that represents the entire mood of the fan base. I think that's a good point. Maybe there's a rule here that if there is unrest within a fan base, at what point do you feel like you have the power to have a banner of that size saying manager out? How are you supposed to survey that? Do you know what I mean?
You've got to have an ego the size of DT's to do that. To hold up a banner or have a flag where your understanding of the situation of a football club is completely different to everyone else's in the stadium, or there may be a section of the fan base that agrees with you, but you're so sure that the right move for Arsenal next time is to sack Arsene Wenger, which, as it turns out, has been, absolutely categorically incorrect. They've been shit since, much more shit than they were. Sorry, they were really good before, and they've been less good than they have been since the Wenger left. So it takes an unbelievable ego to hold up a banner like that, to take a banner, to not have the sort of the mindset to understand that this is going to be properly polarized. And I don't know, it's just
I guess
crazy.
Well, if you're part of a fans group, the mobilization of fans is a good thing. But I get what you're saying. Essentially, if you're doing it within that idea and what we've just read there, then essentially you're saying, quite literally, my opinion is bigger than yours. And I'm not for that. personally.
No, no.
Okay. Harry Grimes, who's one of our patrons. Grimy Grimes. Unwritten rule of football. When an opposition player goes down, you must boo, call him a pussy, and say that he's faking it. Moments later, the stretcher is called on to take him off. So you stand and applaud, showing your care and empathy by saying to the people around you, feel bad for the lad. You never want to see that, or it's a shame, just part of the game. As if you weren't just abusing him 10 seconds before. Daniel Burgess replied, and long may it rain.
Yeah.
He likes that, does he?
I remember being a kid and a player went down injured and the entire ground would echo, let him die, let him die, let him die. It was like, that
happens a lot at QPR. And I'm just like...
But still...
I was like, are we really going to take that risk? Like, because that's, I was worried that we'd let in a goal because I said, I dare you to win. That's going to feel pretty bad. Do you know what I mean?
if he does die.
Yeah, like, yeah. God knows. I mean, I really hope that... I'm sure it didn't happen, but, like Fabrice Muamba or like Christian Eriksen. Imagine if someone did that.
I was there when Muamba collapsed, and I categorically can say that no one sung that song.
That is a relief.
It was such a weird experience. It was just so strange. It was. We were watching the game, and it happened in an area of the pitch where we weren't watching. It was just, you're focusing on the ball, and then I was sitting on the shelf upper and looking down towards the left-hand side is where Muamba collapsed, and we're just watching the game, and then the whistle blew, and then everybody rushed, all the players rushed over to him, and then it was clear that something was significantly wrong. And, they were sort of trying to get the physios to him, and then the bloke who was a cardiologist or some sort of consultant helped him out. And then it was just suspended. And we went down to the gangways and we just waited for what felt like ages. And then they just said, the game's sort of called off. And what happened with Muamba, while it seems to be a little bit more documented now that players are potentially collapsing and there's issues with some players' hearts and whatnot. At that point, it was like, there's only Mark Vivian Foe, I think, that happened.
Yeah. It hadn't happened a lot.
It was every now and then, wasn't it? But it was like...
Did he pass away that way?
Oh, no, it was later. Oh, maybe not. But it's certainly later than Mark Vivian Foe, yeah. And it was just a weird situation. You know what was great is when we found out that Muamba was fine a few days later, and then we replayed the game at White Hart Lane, and all of the pubs opened their gates to away fans, which doesn't happen at Tottenham. And most grounds you can't away fans and home fans can't drink together. But at that second or rearranged tie, that Bolton fans came into the Spurs pubs and we all drank together. It was a lovely, lovely thing.
That's nice. Rob was saying he was there. Bloody hell. Yeah, weird game to be at. Daniel Burgess. This is good. We'll finish on this one. Last one of unwritten rules. Get your unwritten rules in. We'll read them out next week. A footballing institution I very much believe in is the go on, silence, go on, another pause, yeah, when a player's 3 on goal.
It's the greatest thing on earth. It's the greatest thing
like that.
Yeah,
and
nailed
simultaneously, you need to be. You go on, hand on shoulder of someone. You need to touch someone. I always feel like you need to, then grip shoulder. Yeah, fingers in mouth.
Yeah, it's a wonder. What you've summed it up in a single sentence of that moment. It's incredible, isn't it?
Go on.
Yes!
Yeah! Yeah! Was he offside though? Or did someone push him in the build-up? Quick Samazon for you. Ben Lothian Samazon from Jim White on TalkSport asked if Liverpool could get the signing of Diaz over the door. Mixing up getting it over the line and through the door. Shame, Jim. Shame.
I've had a bit of abuse off of Liverpool fans after that Diaz ducked Spurs to join Liverpool. Well, how I like to repurpose that narrative is that we forced Liverpool to pay more money and to do business when they didn't want to, because big old Tottenham and their big swinging dicks came into town. Do you want to come over to us, Luis Diaz? Well, Jurgen Klopp said that he wanted to sign me, and Jurgen Klopp's like, "What you doing? We want to bring him in." And we're like, "Well, you can bring him in, but you've got to pay £20 million more than you wanted to pay in the summer. And we're like, oh, all right, well, off you go then. We haven't done anything. So who really won? Probably Liverpool, because they got the player they wanted.
Good. Good. Finished?
Yep.
Footballers' wangs. Footballers' wangs can happen to you. Look at me.
I
saw tells. Occasionally
it happens.
You know you gotta be strong.
I mean,
Joe, I didn't have it in the running order, but if you are interested in the full collection of Footballers' Wangs, then have you seen this, by the way?
No.
This is really funny.
What is that?
I'll get done for copyright, but basically...
I leave it there.
Yeah, go and check that out. I retweeted it. It's very funny. Louis has put together the full collection of Footballers' Wangs in a Google Doc. That doesn't look like me, by the way. I'm going to bite on that. That's mental.
There was someone did post a picture of you. It's two lads in a nightclub, and I was like, "That's James, isn't it?"
It's not though. This is So here we have all the Wangs. We get Wang spotted by football / owner of Wang Venables, Clive Allen, Ross Barkley, Ron Vlaar, Colin Palmer, Aaron McAnally, and then distinguishing features of Wang. And I won't attribute them to names, but some highlights include it wasn't solid, but it was large. The Loch Ness Monster does exist. Not the biggest length, but Harry's got girth. Steady size, but the girth on that bad boy was incredible. Healthy size piece, panther tail. Average at best. He had a whopper on him. Overall, a great day out.
I like that for a certain player. It was nothing mentioned about the size of his piece.
Yeah, class act. We go again. We go again with this week's Footballer's Wang. Liam Drake. Lucky boy. 3 wangs in 1. He starts this comment with. It's May 2016 and Middlesbrough just secured Premier League promotion at home to Brighton. The entire town celebrated in the centre square until it began to fizzle out. We had to carry it on and speculated that the players would go to the only nightclub in Yarm later, as footballers in the area usually frequent there. We were right. 3/4 of the Borough squad turned up absolutely mangled. I later found myself shoulder to shoulder at the urinal in between David Nugent and George Friend, hopelessly trying to play it cool. As I was washing my hands, the big Greek keeper, Dimi Konstantopoulos, barged in, rushing straight for a cubicle. "No, Dimi, no!" somebody screamed behind me. Another patron had left that cubicle in a state of disrepair. A few seconds later, once the realisation of the horrors that cubicle contained, the 6'7" Greek bear slingshotted out of the cubicle, wang in hand midstream, much to the amusement of all around. It was the best night. Lovely. That was really nice.
It ended on, it was the best night.
It was the best night. We finish off with some Flames advice. My name's James. This is Flav. Together we are Flames. It's an old one for you there. And we're offering up some Flames advice for West Brom Bob, who, I don't know if I told you this, but earlier in the week, we did a phone-in for every team, and I thought we had a Man City person, but that person wasn't available. So West Brom Bob's brother, who's a Man City fan, was on, but didn't want to talk. So West Brom Bob had to step in and read a statement from his brother. Not the highest moment of my broadcasting career, but we got through it.
You couldn't find a Man City fan, so you had to read a statement.
The show went on, which I appreciate. I appreciate that from West Brom stepping into the fray. Great work.
Fair play. Fair play.
So, as you know, Bob has been going on, getting it on with this lady. Just quickly, I'll read it out again. Where is it? I've been chasing the girl for a couple of months after we met through friends and had a magical night, talking all night and days after and occasionally making out. She said she didn't want anything serious, but every time we go out, she just hangs around me, which is fine by me. But the following day, she doesn't acknowledge it. It's happened 5 times. Do I say how I feel, which is she is my oxygen and I would go to war for her, or just keep riding the train until it stops? People had their say last week. We sort of ended with Elizabeth Thompson being very clear and saying, I don't want to give West Brom Bob any power moves. I think she's just not that into you, and it will be okay in the long run, and don't waste your time and heart. So differing views on this, and West Brom Bob has provided a reply.
What did he say? He said, I thank you for all of your opinions, and I'm absolutely going to go and tell her everything I feel about her.
Yeah, and we were like, woo. Slow it down.
Oh, that's not what we said.
Yeah, we said let's play it cool. Bob adhered to said advice, and this is his reply. Hey mate, didn't know which. I should say that's not important. Went out with War Girl. Is that her name now? Okay, sounds violent. Went out with War Girl on the Saturday. Had a good time at her house party, and I took a bit of Flav's advice and decided to arrive late to the said party, as to test the waters. And success. Hook, line, and sinker. Spent all night with her and stayed the night, taking a page from Rob Turner's book and completed a 10K that night. Wink, wink. Some people won't understand that. That's a joke from the mailbag. If you were a moist slug, you'd understand.
Pay.
However, before this, she had a confession. Twist. That's right. That she did not like me a lot. Oh, no, sorry, Bob.
Sorry.
Sorry. She had a confession that she did like me a lot.
Oh, okay. All right.
Sorry, that was libelous. She did like me a lot. Brackets, the Albion t-shirt works. Just saying. For those who don't know, West Brom Bob likes to wear West Brom shirts with Fredo on the back.
Bob,
in
fucking take the fucking shirt off. Anyway,
as well, it seems to be working. But she has a mechanic. I don't know why that's important. She has a mechanic Ipswich boyfriend already from home. Oh. But she proposed that if I wanted to, I could be her uni boyfriend, which had me confused until she explained that I would be there for uni events, lectures, because we have similar lecture times, and for nights out. Whilst morally, I know this is wrong, I can't lie, I'm going to accept the offer and be with her as long as I can, because she is my moon to my stars, the rum to my coke. I fought the battle and kind of won the war, and I look forward to the spoils of the war.
I've got nothing else to add. He's happy. Just let him crack on, and hopefully he doesn't get hurt too much and he doesn't fall too much for her.
Yeah.
Or that her boyfriend doesn't absolutely beat the shit out of him as well.
Yeah, good point. Maybe don't say spoils of war to anyone else. just to say, not sure that's. We get the context. It's, you've carried down a thread there, so I understand it. But let's leave it there now.
I would suggest that there may be some issues around the sort of longevity of this relationship if she's willing to have a uni boyfriend and an actual boyfriend, and you're wanting something more than that. Look at this as a bit of fun. Maybe just be prepared to be hurt in the long run, I think.
I don't think you'll marry this one, Bob. That's I'm going to go out there with a hot take, and I think remember that as this progresses. Enjoy yourself as long as you are enjoying yourself. But
if she is your star and moon,
if she's your star, you maybe got to fight for her. Do you know what I mean? Maybe you can down the road. She'll go. This guy's something special. James and Flav were right. He is different, and get rid of the mechanic from Ipswich. But I don't. Yeah, I'm not sure this is the one. Just saying.
But just be kind, be respectful, and don't be a dick.
And nor should it be at uni, because very rare that it works out, because you're growing as a man. All right, Bob. And then we have it. The end of, not Flame's advice, really just tales of success, I guess, for West Brom Bob. Free cheers for West Brom Bob. Hip hip, hooray. Hip hip, hooray.
Really?
Hip hip, hooray.
All right.
And then we have our podcast, the James and Flav for Now podcast. If you would like to become a patron, there's a link in the description. It's $4 a month. Dive in if you'd like to. If not, obviously don't. Flav, anything you want to say before we go?
I love you all, and be happy, and football doesn't mean a great deal.
Unless you're a QPR fan, because life's great. See you next week. Bye-bye.